got 7 minutes. Stay focused. The art in here is worth millions. Proceed to step 2.
I saw you a number of years ago at Berlinale at Hebel am Ufer, where you were giving a talk about acting and the craft, and you said that you find your characters through action, through movement, through physicality.
I'm still saying it. I haven't changed. Yes.
How was it this time around for
exactly
character?
exactly that. This was a beautiful example of that. Because you're not thinking, you're not anticipating an emotion, you're not thinking of what has to be accomplished beyond physical tasks. And you're doing them in a way that you be open to the experience, and something happens to you anytime you do anything, and that puts you to the next step, and then it gets compounded, and then you're not really making choices as much as doing things, and then you create a history, and then a rhythm happens, and then a life is created, and then you say, wow, this is a person. It's not me, it's something else. And then in the end, then something is made, and it's guided by intuition and a dedication to doing an action without too much concern about where it's going or trying to color it, trying to show off or trying to demonstrate something or to point at something. Really, to be there and have something happen to you. Yeah. I think of the Marcus Aurelius, it loved to happen. That's something I meditate on all the time.
What's happening? Come in! Come in! It won't open! Sorry, man. You're on your own.
I would be very interested in hearing from an artist with your experience, and you've worked with so many great directors. What have you found? What is an actor-director relationship that you find very dynamic, very productive, as opposed to a director that's maybe not as helpful for you?
It's a big question. It's a good question. Look, different directors, are different directors, different films. Every time you make a film, the process has to be reinvented. There's no go-to and there's no normal. But you do notice certain tendencies, and one tendency I have a great deal is I like a person that has a passion project, and I go towards trying to figure out what they want to see. That's my job. It's not my job to communicate something as much as express. I'm their expression. I like being the extension of what they want to see. And that's a beautiful way for me, because you're, on one hand, you're kind of relieved of a certain kind of intellectual responsibility, but you're also given great strength because you're doing something that feels slightly like surrender or service, or you're being useful. You're putting something into motion. It's not for you, it's for something else. And when you get in that kind of head, you don't try to protect your thoughts or your way of being. And it invites you to think in different ways and be a different person. And I think unless you abandoned yourself, in that process, you can't approach that kind of transformation. It becomes studied. But to really have it happen, you have to dedicate yourself to someone's vision and become their vision, become, material, what they've got floating around in their head. And when that happens, and it only happens to degrees, it's fantastic. And it's alive, and it transforms you. And hopefully, if it's transparent enough, it transforms an audience, because you're not pointing at anything, you're not representing anything, you're actually making something. Yeah.
Really quickly, because I believe we have.
Yeah, I went on. Sorry.
I appreciate that. One director with such clarity of vision, I would say, is Robert Eggers, who I know you will be reuniting with soon.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about Nosferatu?
I don't know how much they want to say, except for it's something that he's wanted to do since he was a child, and in some ways it's a new way of telling the story, but it's also quite traditional. I mean, it honors the original. But I can say I play the kind of a character called Van Frans, who is an occultist, and basically he's like in other versions he's like the Van Helsing character. He's basically the scientist that's helping them hunt down Nosferatu. So yeah, and we're shooting in Prague, and we're just starting now. This is why I have this silly facial hair. But I'm very excited. I think he's a great talent. I've worked with him 2 times, and he makes beautiful work.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that as well.
Good.
Thank you so
Great.
much.